Yo, 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 good morning or good evening. New week, new stream. And I said at the end of last week's Friday stream that the purpose of this week would probably be to make it possible to sorta draw grass on the terrain. So instead of having the terrain or the grass proportions and whatnot being generated at the start of runtime, we instead generate no grass from the start, and then we let the player through the character select an area where he or she wants grass. So pretty much like terraforming, but adding grass instead. And what's up, Cooler SK, and good morning, Harukanan. Hope you two had a wonderful weekend. So we can do this in a few different approaches. But what I think we're gonna do is we're going to implement something that is very similar to Action Terraform. I think. But we will also notice that so Action Terraform and Action, I don't even know what I want to call it. But they will be very similar. They will both have a marker, a circular marker. So we could probably do some nice reordering here. The question is, or honestly, like, Action Terraform, I'm starting to think that we can possibly reorder this a tiny bit and reform it. So this is more of an like action tool use or something like that. And then it's up for the specific tool. Like what I'm getting at is we're probably gonna have a lot of similar actions like this for different tools. And one could leave handling the tools to this class, and also the like execution of the tool, or like actually using the tool, and then the tool itself will do its thing, so to speak. Yeah, that is probably the way I want to do it, but I just wonder, is now the time to alter it? let's see here. Terrain patch terraformer. Apply terraform brush. Yep. So currently we could just do something with terraform brush, I think. Brush textures. Active brush texture index. Terraform brush. Yeah, we could probably just extend this one in such a way that we later on can split action terraformer up. But for now we could hide like a lot of functionality in here and do a lot of different things. So just like we switch brush operation, we could also do, let's see here, terraform shader, because when we so we're going to select an area and then we're going to add grass to it. It's pretty much going to be the same logic as if we were terraforming the terrain. Yo, what's up? I'm me. New week, new things indeed. Can I pick your brain on existential coding issue whilst you work away? We can try. We can try. Long time no see. By the way, how's the persistency system going? So if we take a look at Terraform Shader, right now we have a color mask of R here, and that is because the height data is currently in the red channel of the texture. One could think that in Terraform Brush we could just switch this one depending on if the brush is going to alter the terrain height or alter the grass or whatnot. So I think that's what we're gonna do actually. Yeah, I got the persistence thing working good, nice and clean. Nice to hear. If I remember correctly, you said you would be making it public on GitHub. Are you still having those plans or not? Would love to be able to take a look at it, since I'm probably gonna have to do something similar in the future. At some point, sure. Oh, nice. If/when it happens, please send me a message. Okay, so now we basically know how we're going to alter the grass, the current approach to it. This might very well not be how it is in the end, but I think this is like Terraform Brush. Terraform. Yeah, maybe. So Action Terraform is going to be doing the exact same thing it's doing. And in Terrain Patch Terraformer, we're gonna have a difference here as well. Alter terrain height using Terraform data blit. We might want to alter this one. Let's see, alter terrain data blit. Yeah, we want to do all of this as well. It's all save/load stuff, right? Yeah, exactly. So my question to you today is this: how do you feel about, quote, decoupling code, unquote? Yeah, terminology isn't my strongest attribute, or whatever you call it. Decoupling code, what does that imply? Like making code less dependent on each other? Let's see. Decoupling code. Taking the key parts of your class's functionality, specifically the hard to test parts, and replacing them with calls to an interface reference of your own design. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. Keep a parts of your class function has been. Yeah, like honestly, this reminds like I like modular code design the most, and this feels a little bit towards that way, right? The coupled code is an anti-pattern. So you use events, etc. instead of hard coding. I would love a write up here. The coupling code C# example. Honestly, everything I read so far, like, yeah, it sounds good. Yeah. I love this. I love this. The issue I have with it is that you lose code dependency graphs. Yeah, I love modular code. I like I like systems that are eventually just a chain of black boxes where the black boxes don't know anything about each other, but they communicate with each other. So yeah, that's probably how I would explain it. So in this example, basically he has a class here that writes to a console inside of the class, but instead he decouples everything console related and put it in another class, so that class handles everything console related, and then this class will communicate with that console class instead of writing directly to system console write, like the most basic example. Right, but then when it's a black box you can't trace dependencies. I wonder what you mean by dependencies exactly. I would say like you don't want to trace dependencies because you don't want too much dependency. It's a big thing with a lot of Unity creators to do this. For instance, let's take one example I'm probably going to use real soon. I haven't yet. Is this relatable? Yeah, so in a lot of my classes and components I use a lot of time.delta time use. So yeah, if you want to animate something or do some logic based on delta time. And right now I use Unity's constant class time. Or static class, I mean. But I'm probably going to decouple that into my own time class later on, because I want to control, for instance, when we have menus open, I want all the game time to slow down, but I still want to do animation based on real delta time. That is decoupling of sorts, right? Yeah, I'm a big fan of decoupling and modular design in general. Well, if you're using event-driven dependency, then you don't get codependency graphs on what depends on what. You lose a lot of perspective. Okay, so you're talking about like using some tool to visualize the dependency in your software with graphs. But I mean, does decoupling actually implies events? Isn't just events one way to achieve decoupling in sometimes? Yeah, I guess that is a trade-off. I'm trying to remember if I have a good decoupling typical to. So like if someone asked me about a decoupling example in my current code base, just wondering if you have tackled it before. You probably have. Like, it sounds like something you tackle often and a lot, right? I might just not have had any second thoughts about it. But like, I want to draw some parallels to what is it when people are talking about REST API, I think it is. Don't you have something similar there? Like you have these black boxes that... It's a very modular design, right? And like this is how I try to structure my code bases in most cases. So I guess I'm a heavy user of decoupling. Good morning, Geralt. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. It feels like a lot of software development is always, you have to take like pros and cons. In some situations you probably want to have, like you want to be able to visualize dependency graphs and rely on that a lot. And in other cases it's probably better to modularize it and black box it. Harukanan sounds like a nice building site you're working in. Yeah, I'm real sorry about the background noises here. I think I'm having a neighbor who's renovating something. Hopefully it won't sound too much. We will find out, I guess. If it's for a system that is usable for anyone outside the black box, yes. But like, I love the idea of classes being its own little black box, doing a lot of heavy lifting and then just publicizing entry and exit points to outside classes. But then again, like software patterns in general and stuff like this is, yeah, like it's interesting and stuff, but the main goal for me has always been to build stuff, and like I tend to build them in a way that feels comfortable for me. And right now, or for a while, it's been the modular design. Hence, I'm like what I read now really briefly from this, I would say that the coupling is pretty nice. Harukanen, I can just mute, it's worse for you. I have pretty good headset on that, so I don't hear it too much actually. But yeah, I'm gonna try and fight through this and stream anyway. Yeah, that's the backside of living in a apartment blocks, I guess. Sometimes you hear what your neighbors are up to. I guess your current code/game is non-modular, right? So you have everything in global namespace kind of thing. We actually started implementing namespace, or I started pretty late, but right now the idea is to have them in different namespaces. And for instance, I try to modularize it in such a way that, like Action Terraformer, the component that is converting player input to actually terraforming, it just works with maybe not what I'm proudest of, but like the terrain patch itself, the terrain patch getting terraformed doesn't know. The only thing it knows when it's getting terraformed is it gets terraformed data basically, or a brush. Yeah, this is a work in progress, not the best example. No.asmdef. I don't know if Unity fixes that for you. I have no idea what that is, honestly. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what it is. Like as soon as I got this up, yeah. I'm gonna think more about the decoupling stuff, and I might get back at you with it. Yeah, I did stuff way more like this when I was working with other stuff that isn't game development. But yeah, it was pretty much the main purpose I did it for was to exactly like decrease the recompile time. So if you structure your project as like different bins and you just change one of them, you don't have to recompile as many files. What's up, Ayland? How are you doing today? I would have hoped namespace would fix this. It gets crazy fast, I think, this way from the start now. Yeah, I'm actually a little bit taken aback that this isn't handled more. Like, do you get anything related to that when you do when you work with namespaces and structures it's like that, or do you actually have to define this yourself? Yeah, but like this is related to building your software in a modular way, I would say. Like it feels natural that modules has their own bin, right? But then again, yeah, if you change an entry or exit point from one module, you're gonna have to recompile the modules calling those entry or exit points. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this. Ayland, what's up? Good. Have you ever used Reflection before? Damn, so many similar questions today. Reflection. Do we have... If you're talking about this, no, I don't. You have to use ASMDef, yeah, definitely. It seems like it will do me some good. You choose what other modules to reference in each ASMDef, so like you can have things like helper extension. Oh yeah. Actually, when I think... Yeah... Ayland, I use Reflection to get every class that has an I command interface and a command attribute. I'm gonna have to look into that one as well. And in the same vein, like I have done decoupling, the bigger type of decoupling. Like I have certain parts in my game that I have generalized so much that I've actually extracted them from my project and redone them as a Unity package. And like in some ways, like that's even one step further than the decoupling we read about previously, right? Tintin, what's up? Thank you for the follow, appreciate it. And Ayland, yeah, I might want to look into Reflection. I'm more interested in how you use it in your project. Me, do you have your... Yeah, so we have this, let's see here. Project settings, and is it player? Where do we have those settings? I know which settings you're talking about, I'm me. Where do we have it? Editor. Yeah. So you're talking about these two. So you can do... Yeah, I have this clicked in here. We have actually went over this a couple of times. So right now, every time I start the game, we reload the entire domain and the entire scene. And I've had some people complain because sometimes we pretty much do double the compilation, I guess. And it's actually no, I have it set up like this right now for a reason, and it's related to this one. I love null conditionals and null coalescing. Unfortunately, they don't work that good with Unity objects, it turned out. So my code base right now is pretty much peppered with null conditionals and null coalescing on monobehavior types, which means that I need Unity to clear out the scene properly before we reload it. Otherwise we're gonna have dangling pointers basically to some data since we use this. And that's the reason why both of these are enabled right now. So when I've removed all of these, then we can disable these and it will become a little bit quicker. You have some filthy global statics? Nope. I think I only have one singleton right now. The problem is I don't remember which one of these were the best one actually. But yeah. So were just local variables in some components, and if we don't reload the domain, they still hang around. And when we do null conditional checks on it, the null conditional in C# returns false, but the system or the Unity object returns true. So yeah, I need to make sure that it's clean every time we run the game right now, because otherwise some null conditional checks will pass when they shouldn't. That's pretty much it. I think it should be this one. I think it's a good read. I don't know if we have maybe something in entity. Or can we do... Thank you for the link, Ayland, by the way. Yeah, somewhere in my code we use null conditionals. I've stopped doing it since I learned about this. I don't remember where now, though. But I think it can be as... Girlfriend found something funny. Were someone laughing? Because I'm actually home alone. So hopefully. I don't know what that might have been. Damn Hadoukanen. Jesus. Actually scared me for a bit. Basically, if I remember correctly with the null conditionals, I think the problem we had was... Oh, no, actually, it might have been in... yeah, let's see. I think I use them the most like this. Let's see. Can we have... This might actually be one of the causes for it. Here we have related to... this might actually be one. So I don't know command buffer though, if it's a... Yeah, the problem is, like, we had some issues if we did this, where this one is a Unity object. Then we're fucked. I started speaking Danish as well. Was hella confused. Yeah, but I'm from down south in Sweden, so I know my way around a bit of Danish. I me, right? This kind of syntax is the work of the devil. You don't like null conditionals? I love this. Instead of having to do... I guess you would want to... Instead of having to do stuff like this, but... That's what we're gonna have to do later on anyway. So this is what we're gonna have to do. But it depends, like... But you're saying they're causing the problem. They're causing problems if you use them on Unity objects. That's what I'm saying. Because of... I think we have this one as well. Because of... Is it this one? Yeah. So Unity has implemented an overload for this one for Unity object. So every Unity related object has the Unity engine .object, that is the base class, and since they're overloading it, it doesn't really work with how null conditionals. These operators don't use the overloaded operator for the object, so you don't get custom behavior there. So that means that if you reference a Unity object through references, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, I think we read this one as well. This was like the main thing. This one is the best. I should have this linked as well. I think they end it with saying that like they would like to do a and this one is old as hell as well. Unity 5. I don't know if it works another way in Unity 6. But yeah, I recommend this one as well. This one is old though, but it was a good read, I remember. But yeah, so that is the reason why we have reload domain and reload scene here still enabled, because my codebase has, although not many, but a few null conditionals still. Unlikely changes in 6, yeah, probably not. Ayland, I see someone using reflection for GUI. Basically, you just need to create a class that inherits. Oh, sorry about that. From UI class, and it will automatically add it to the UI. Sounds pretty handy. But you can, yeah. So I have this issue, and I've been meaning to get around this one. Like we created this one a couple of months ago. Ayland, I see a lot of errors in the console. Yeah, we recompiled the script when the game was running, which usually leads to errors. But yeah, so the idea is to just get to this one. I mean, it's only in like around 10 places in my codebase. As soon as this issue is fixed, then we can disable these two. I don't know, it's just I've had other people mentioning it when they see me double compile basically. But yeah, we're gonna get around to it, so we can speed some things up. I don't disable scene reload. Yeah, right now when I work with pretty bare bone scenes, and like we generate a lot at start and we destroy a lot on end. So I think I could do with disable scene reload as well, but we're gonna have to find out after I have closed this damn issue. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that terrain patch, the way we do terraforming right now is very nice. Basically we just do set terrain data. And that's not the one. Alter terrain height using terraform data. We can generalize this method, so we can name it alter terrain data using terraform data. So this one, I think we're gonna remove this one as well. This is the CPU way of doing it, this is the GPU way of doing it, and it's this one we rely on the most right now. The scene reload thing is essentially immediate, so I leave it on. Oh yeah, it depends on the scene, I guess. And domain is the killer. Yeah. Honestly, like I've been meaning to do this for quite a while, but like my to-do list is so goddamn long, so this one has just fallen through the cracks. But maybe I can just set it up as a goal for this week. Just take care of it. Like it shouldn't take that long. Honestly, let's just try and do it now. So we have these. Oh, and I have a decision to make as well. Like, okay, I can't use null conditionals on Unity objects. Do I still want to do them on non-Unity objects? That might cause confusion. Or do I want to keep my full code base consistent, so if we don't use it on Unity objects, we don't use it anywhere? Right, you're biting off more than you can chew. It's just I'm over optimistic about how much I can chew. So yes, that is true. So here, for instance, we're working with a list of dependencies, which is an action dependency, which is a self-defined class which doesn't inherit from Unity object, right? So how do I want my code base to be? So self-defined class doesn't inherit from anything. It's just zero. I don't know how this is solved behind the scenes, but yeah. Do I want to use it here? Probably not, honestly. Like, I want to be consistent in my code base, but that means that we have this. So what we need to do then is we need to do action dependency is equal to this. And then we do, so I guess we can do this action dependency if it's not equal to null. Like, it just becomes so much more messy. Or do we want to go action dependency dot action reference? Here we have an error issue if this one is null, so do we want to do we want to return, or it's a fucking mess when you can't use them. Yeah, so I guess we want to do, if it's not equal to null, we do this, and we take this one, there we go. Now the code is exactly the same, a bit more messy, but we don't have a null conditional. Here we have source attribute, value change, add listener. Yeah. So then I guess it is if source attribute is not equal to null, do this. If source attribute is not equal to null, do this. First or default, check against first or default. default here is null, I think, because I think this list is a list of reference type. So default is null. If we don't, so if it's empty, it returns null. So you could probably do, let's see. You could check if this one is null or if it's empty. Default is default. I think default is null for reference type, isn't it? Or specify default value. So you can specify default value. If it's a struct, then you get, that's actually true. Yeah, if it's a struct, you get an like an empty struct, or like the how it's default initialized. But with a class, which is a, are they called reference type? Then you get null, right? Unless you define default value. You can also define your own default value when you call the function. So we could do first or default, and here we could define default. But in this case, it's just return the first one. If dependencies is empty, return null, I think. Alon, by the way, I use reflection to register my commands because I don't want to do new command name class to register the command. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see. I'm intrigued, but I need to see more to wrap my head around it. C# is a killer. Okay, we could do if entity provider is equal to null, or dependencies dot empty or actually we can do this, and then we can do we can also do it like this, right? So when you do this, you get the first element, or if the first element doesn't exist, you get the default element. If you don't specify your default element, then you get the default type for whatever the type is in here. And if it's a reference-based type, like class, you get null, right? But now what we do instead is, if entity provider is equal to null and dependencies length, we do have dependencies, then we just get the first one. But an action reference might not have a provider action, so that we need to check. But like, I would say this is. So are you saying we could do? Okay, so So instead of like making it more general, we could have checked for default. Okay, I get it. But then again, now we have picked out the first element and we have taken its reference. So I don't know if we want to do default here. Yeah. If value change is not equal to null. But like, so for instance, if we would be doing action provider don't use null, but so you're saying we could do this dependencies dot first or default dot where default is a thing. So what you're saying now is that you would prefer, so you would prefer having not equal to default instead of null here. Now it feels because first or default. Yeah, but with this solution we don't use first or default anymore, we just use first. But like the question, would it actually be better to do provider action is equal to dependencies first or default? But here we actually get an action dependency. So we do this and then like checking if provider action is not equal to default, like doing this. Yeah, but what I'm wondering is like if we have let's call it provide action dependency. Okay, so let's assume we do this like we did it before. There doesn't really seem to be a difference between these two, depending on what this one actually stores, right? To produce the default value of a type. Okay. The first comparison is type safe, or at least it should be. This is basically what's wrong with null in C#. Null is equal to null is true, but the left null could be a string and the right null could be a complex object, so default string. Okay, so now we're down to discussing if null types have types. assume Microsoft will pull the carpet. First or default, you should check against default. But like in this specific case, I know that the list contains types, reference types. So checking for null, like, isn't the default for reference types null? Guess right now it's a coding style. Yeah. Honestly, checking for dependencies length is bigger than 0. That removes one null check, and that is probably what I prefer. But now we only do first. We get an action dependency, and we get the action reference from that dependency, and then we check null on that action. I don't know. And here we have a singleton case. And here as well. I honestly didn't know about this default keyword in this scenario. Up. Does first come with exception overhead? I don't know. Yes. Oh. We will have to find out, but I think it's okay. So we don't have any more of these. Let's see. I don't know. Abstract selectable. I think we can wait with those. Okay. I think the few cases where we had null conditionals, I fixed them correct way. 2 things fix it. Let's do it. These are a little bit of a special case though. I think we're only using this one. That should be it, I think. Yeah. It's nice to finally get rid of them, I think. Editor. Okay, so now we should be able to do disable this one, yes. Wondering about, I think we might as well. Okay, let's see if we get any errors. You want to keep scene reload? Actually, and reloads the scene from disk. I mean, damn, I want your internet speed. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm honestly more... I'm used to better speed. Filthy Australian internet here. Yeah, I think something I've learned from being on the internet for ages is that people love the Swedish internet. Like, we have a really good infrastructure for it. But I think I actually only have... I think I only have 100 megabit right now. And I've previously had 1 gigabit. But like, this is good enough. Eland, why YouTube chat take 10 years to load? That I have no idea, but I think it's on your side. Most of Europe, right? Yeah, that's true, but like, it's all relative. I played Counter-Strike with a couple of Germans a couple of months ago, and they were praising the Swedish internet as well. Okay, to disable scene reloading, the process is yeah, so when you disable scene reloading, the time it takes to start your application in the editor is no longer representative of the startup time in the built version. I get that. However, because scene reloading is tightly connected to domain reload, there are a couple of important differences. Scriptable object and monobehavior fields that are not serialized into the build. Okay, so private or internal non-serialized keep their values. Ooh. This is because Unity does not recreate existing objects that does not call constructors. Additional Unity converts. Okay. And scripts that use execute in edit mode or execute always scripts do not receive on destroy or awake calls. That's pretty cool. When I lived in Germany 10 years ago, it was just as fast. Oh yeah, we're a little bit. What is the English word for it? We're a bit spoiled. Is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah. Here in Europe, when it comes to internet, or more specifically, Northern Europe. But yeah, this tweaking comes down to statics. So this one, I would say. But actually, like, mono behavior fields that are not serialized into builds. So if we have private ones, this means that if we don't reload scene, then variables like this won't be re-initialized, right? So these will still have the same values as previously. The internet is the shittiest of slow. I'm sorry to hear. But is it like for the entirety of Australia, or is it much better on the eastern coast? Australia is extremely big as well, right? Yeah, Australia is extremely big. I don't think the map projection does it justice, right? Or what is it? Brisbane. I'm sorry to say, but I don't know enough about... Is it Brisbane that is the capital of Australia, right? Or? No? The East Coast is the main, yeah. Okay, but nice. Like, so here we have... Now we don't have any null conditionals anymore. Like, it literally... If I would have only done that, it would have literally taken me 5 minutes. And I've been off-putting it for 3 months. Brisbane is capital of Queensland. Yeah, I'm shining with my geographical knowledge. But what is it? Canberra. Oh yeah. I just know that it isn't Sydney, because that's one of the usual fails people do, right? When they get asked what is the capital of Australia, they say Sydney. We're off the map for most, yeah. Ayland, you want to know the progress of my console utilities project? Yes, I do. Don't have too much time now during streaming to look into it though, but like if you post it in the programming channel in my Discord, I definitely want to take a look. Okay, great. Sydney is the default, just not where the clown makes make rules. Okay, yeah. Okay, great. So, on to the main point of this stream. I think we're gonna generalize Action Terraform. So not only can it lower and heighten the terrain, we also want it to be able to remove or add grass. And not only that, we want it to be able to like alter grass. So the player should be able to go to an area, set the marker at that area, and when instigating terraform, we should add grass to that area. So that is the work I'm probably gonna get on with now. So the first thing I want to do, so this is still a problem where I'm not entirely sure which direction to go. Luckily for me, one of the directions is extremely easy to implement, so we can start with that one, and then if we notice that it's not good enough, we can switch to the more the harder one. And all it comes down to is this. So we have a terrain or a plot of land, and we want to render that terrain in multiple different ways. Usually with terrain, all you do is texture blending. So if it's going to be grass at one place and gravel at another place, you have the same shader. The only thing you do is you do different texture blending on those different areas. Unfortunately for me, I want to support like the different materials I want to support in my terrain, or the different visuals are widely different. So I want to support this kind of grass we have here, but I also want to support dirt. So dirt, simple texture based visuals, grass, complex geometry shader based visuals. So the two directions I'm talking about is we can extend the grass shader, so the geometry shader, in such a way that it also does texture blending, which means if we have an area that doesn't have grass, we're still gonna run through the full grass shader. It's just done in such a way that variables are set in such a way that we don't get any extra geometry, we just get texture. But the way shaders are built, it means that we're gonna do a hell of a lot of computations for naught. So we're gonna do computations, it's going to take time, and we're not gonna get results that are equivalent to the times it takes. JC Burden Lifter, thank you for the follow, by the way, I appreciate it. So that is the cons with that approach. The other approach is that we work with two different terrain materials. So we have one material that is one shader that is simply texture blending, and we have one shader that is more geometry generation based. And this means that we're going to have one mesh, but we're going to represent that mesh or render that mesh with two different materials. And the way you do that is you split up the mesh in sub-meshes. And this is the reason that this approach is so much more complicated. Sorry about that. Because in terrain patch, that means that when we do this, we're actually gonna have to do it twice, and we want to do it with the different vertices basically. So we want to create one triangles array for the vertices, or the part of the mesh that is going to use a texture based material, and we want to create one triangles array for the mesh that is going to use the geometry shader based material. So this will put some more work on the CPU. So when we alter the terrain, we're gonna have to redo this. So when we paint new grass or remove grass, we're gonna have to remake these triangle arrays, which is going to take time on the CPU. Everything Terraform related is probably going to be offloaded to a second thread, so that is not that bad. So all it comes down to basically is one solution is going to demand more computation power from the GPU at all times, while the second approach is going to demand more computation power on the CPU every time we do Terraform related stuff, but overall it's going to demand less on the GPU. I prefer the second one, but as I said, that is going to be way more complicated to implement. So we're going to implement the first solution first, and depending on the result or what we need, we might want to pivot to the second solution. Let's see here, Aland. Suggestion system is basically done. Yeah, you can never mention a command manager too many times, so it's okay. Damn, sounds nice, sounds nice. If I remember correctly, Aland, you talked about supporting like text. I want to say glitter, but that is not the correct term. But like stylized text in your command or in your console, right? Do you have an example of how that looks in its current state? Yes, rich text, yes. That is the word I was looking for. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take, let's see. We're gonna take procedural grass light, and I think we're gonna duplicate it, and we're gonna create procedural grass terrain. Well, actually, we're gonna rename it terrain procedural grass, I think. Oops. Terrain procedural grass. Procedural grass. And first of all, I want to quickly test this. So we're gonna do header grass amount constant. Is equal to 1 by default. I wonder if I want to do grass amount constant, and I also want a default texture to D. So basically I want to make, let's put it as 0. So I want to have a default texture. The terrain is going to use that default texture. It's going to be fully visible if grass amount constant is 0, and less visible if grass amount constant is... Thank you, Ayland, I'm saving that link. Feel free to share it in the Discord as well. So if this one is 0, we're only going to show this texture. If this one is 1, we're only going to show grass, and in between we're going to do some interpolation, I think. And texture 2D, and then we want a sampler as well. Call me Negative Nancy. I'm going to say it. New shaders are dependent, and the Unity linking thing is dodgy at best if the file will still be referenced if something changes. I'm not entirely sure I know what you mean. Yeah, we'll see if it crashes soon. So procedural grass, there's a difference how we render grass and the actual ground underneath. I think, if I remember correctly, we use this one. So it's a difference between this one and this one. I just don't remember. Okay, we do grass here. Oh, so we might want to do... Oh, we might want to fix it up here, actually. Okay, yeah. So grass is extremely stylized, which means that we settled on calculating the color simply in the, I would say, vertex shader, but it's actually the geometry shader. But the main point being that we calculate color per vertex and not per fragment. So interpolating, this means that showing a texture, but we assign texture colors based on vertices is going to make our texture appear quite weird, but I think I'm okay with that. So in this case we're going to add a let's do flow 3 ground color is equal to, or ground color from texture is equal to, and then we want to do sample texture to the low D. And I think we should have input.uv. And we're gonna go with 0 here, I think. And yeah. And default texture. Okay, so we read a texture here, and that is ground color from texture, RGB. Yes, so I think the way we're gonna do it now is we do a lot of things with color here. Here we sample a gradient color. Yeah, we're not doing this in a very clean way right now, but basically what we want to do is, I think we can do it like this, honestly. Output.color is equal to lerp ground color from texture output.color, and here we want to do grass something constant, I thought, or was it just grass amount constant? So this means if grass amount constant is 0, we choose this color. If it's 1, we choose this color. If it's something in between, we do a lerp. So this will fix it for the... Fuck, I think this will actually... this might actually... 438. Oh, don't we have UV here? Geometry share output, I thought we had. Actually... Did we... Yes, we actually removed UV. So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna base the UV on world position, much like we do position world space. Yeah, we have that here, position world space. So instead of input.uv, what we want to do is float to input.world position. Position world space, of course. .x and input.position world space.z. I would prefer to have some form of scale multiplier here as well, but this will work for now, I think. 439. There we go, and then we should be able to do let's take this one. Procedural grass terrain material. Fuck it, I want to do this. Terrain procedural grass. I wonder how much we will screw it up. Yes. I don't see the type of interpolation I would like to see, but what we could do is we take this one and then we set the texture to be equal to this one. Okay. Grass amount constant. Yeah, we don't base it on the actual grass amount, but we can do this and it becomes more green. So I guess the idea is, in a place like this where we have a lot of grass on a small area, here we want to have the green color, and in a place where it's not as tight, we don't have as much grass, here we want to go with a something like that. But actually, when I think about it, we want to base, eventually we want to make the position where we spawn the grass, we want to make the ground around here greener. Oops. It should work pretty good. But I guess this will work for now. Although I wonder how... Yeah, we can see the lines here. Let's do... yeah, so when we when we read the texture in the geometry shader, we get visuals like this for this grid texture, and that is because we read the values at the vertex from the texture. I wonder, I probably want to fix this right now, so we should probably, instead of doing these calculations here, we do it in the fragment shader from the start. I think that's better. So let's take this one. The only problem I have here is we don't want this texture to affect the grass straws, we only want it to affect the ground. Previously we had... Oh, is it this one we use? Yes, it is. So we have output.color.alpha. This one pretty much tells us if this fragment belongs to a grass straw or if this fragment belongs to a the ground. So we can use this one down here instead, hopefully in a nice way. And we get the color here, and then we send input color RGB here. We're gonna rename this one, but I can't rename it using this because then we will rename these as well. So final color. I just want to add this one here. Final color. Like that. So what we do when we calculate final color, we go through, for each light we do calculate Blinn Phong, then we add ambient light, and then we add fog as well. So input color RGB here. Calculate Blinn Phong albedo. We don't even use alpha right now. So I wonder if we want to do float 3 fragment color is equal to and here I think we can do let's read this one. We don't need to do it with LOD now. Default texture. Like this. We get ground color from texture. And then we want to do, for fragment color, we want to do lerp ground color from texture input.color .rgb and here we want to use grass amount constant multiplied with 1 minus input.color.a. So this one is 1 if it's a grass straw, which means that if it's a grass straw, this one will be 0. So it will be 0. So we probably want to flip these around, I think. At least in this case. Can we make this work? If this one is a grass straw, this one will be 1. And we will multiply by this. Or if it's ground, I mean, we will get 1 here, so we will multiply with this one. And I think this should work. And then we do fragment color. We send in this one here, here, and here instead. We actually use color A here for specular multiplier. We don't want the ground to have any specular highlights, but we want the grass straws to have specular highlight. Okay, I guess we can go with that as well. Will this work? We'll find out. Have I missed this one? Is that the only thing? Okay, that is true. So let's see here. I thought I fixed that fragment color. As you can see here, we get a little bit of a green tint, and that is entirely because of the ambient light, I think. Actually, no. Okay. Grass amount constant. Oh. I wonder, however. Let's see. Let's try and figure out why we get this greenish tint. Ground color from texture. We read the texture. It's this value. The only reason I can see is Fragment color, fragment color. Grass ambient constant. Don't think it should be this one. Oh, let's see. (1.0) minus input color A. For non-grass, it all depends on 0, 1. So this one should be 0. And if it's 0, we get 1 here. Grass ambient constant. What boggles my mind as well is that we don't actually see. This one doesn't do anything. I wonder what's the default for it. 0. Redefinition of this one, yeah. That's what I thought. It seems to definitely be the visual result I get. Makes me wonder. I think it's a mix between these two, but oops. Do I do something special here? Attenuation. Grass specular color, is it this one? Or if we go 0, no. No. So it's grass ambient constant, definitely. Oh, yes. Oh, shit. Wrong constant. Grass amount constant. What's up, Norin Def? Yeah. Yeah, we're developing a shader and listening to some smooth yes. Alien, my command manager has exception handling, so if there's an exception while running the command, it will not crash the whole app. Instead, it just caught the error in printer. Nice. Love it. Like, I don't think I've ever developed something with proper exception handling. Dare I say it. Would love to do it someday. There we go. Grass amount constant. That's what it should be. So with a grass amount constant we get 0. Otherwise we get 1. Okay. Is that what I want? This. Grass ambient constant and grass amount constant. Very similar. Yeah, this is just an initial solution. It's not the best one, but I think this is going to help quite a bit. And okay, so what we're gonna do next is I think yeah, honestly, like my track record of working with ambient light in Unity has been not very joyful. It's hard to know exactly which. Like, I love working with it, like in Shadergraph. There you have a correct defined way to do it. But in HLSL, I still don't know if this is the correct constants I want to fetch for ambient color. But it gives pretty good result on the actual grass. So that is nice. But I think so this spherical harmonics coefficients. We got the result from here, I think. So I've tried these, didn't get a correct result. And then we had this one, and with these variables we got the correct one. So plain ambient light containing the L0 coefficient of spherical harmonic. Yeah. Initially when I read it, I thought we could go with this one. It would be so very nice. I think it's these variables. So when you use the ambient light node in shader graph, it gets generated to using these, if I remember correctly. Should I have my built-in command in the built-in category? Sounds good. I'm me, he hasn't set up the scene for SH. I don't know. I also tried this one, but it's probably in the newer version of Unity. I'm still running 21.2. So, yeah. So what I want to do next here is, I think I also want to base the amount of tessellation on the grass amount constant. That's a nicer way to do it, tighter, so to speak. So if we take a look at our grass here, where we have less grass, we actually don't have less grass, we just have thinner and smaller grass. We have the same amount of grass straws. I think I want to go, and those are based on the tessellation. So I think we want to go with changing the tessellation amount here. But we want to do it on, so this is where terrain data container, this is where this one enters the chat once again. A 4-channel texture, 8 bits per channel, where we store anything terrain related. Currently we only use the red channel for height, and I know that last Friday I talked about packing even more data into this one, so I would love to be able to do so we store like the most straightforward way to do it would be to do pack 2 floats into 8 bits. So we pack them with 4 bits each. The better way to do it would probably be I'm a little bit like, the best case scenario would be to still work with texture 2D, the data the class texture 2D, but to be able to fully customize the data in it. Unfortunately, I don't think that's possible with given how texture 2D is done. What's up, Desai? Hey, I'm using your outline render feature. Nice, works like a charm, even more nice. I see one issue. When I apply on flat horizontal plane, let's say 300 times 300 in size, I see black shade on the face at distant. Yes, I think that is an issue with when you look at the surface from a steep angle, because what it results in is that you have 2 neighboring pixels that appear to be neighbors on the screen, but they are actually extremely far away from each other when we read from the depth texture. And some other very smart people came up with a solution which I'm using in my outline shader. So I don't know if I have the exact same shader render feature in my project. Let's see. I have something similar. It has been reworked quite a lot since, but I think I still rely on the same is it this material? So I think you should have something something related to depth, steep, angle, threshold and multiplier. If you play around with those two, you will see that the issue you're talking about gets removed a bit, but you might also get worse outlines for objects closer to the camera. It's like, depending on how you use the outline shader, you need to toggle these variables to get the best result for your use case. And love your streams. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So I think let's see if we can. Where do we have? Don't I have a default material here? I should have. There we have the render feature. Here we have the shader graph. I think we have steep angle threshold and steep angle multiplier. I think it's those you want to play around with. If it depends on if, like, I understood the problem you're having correctly, but I think it's those two. I feel like I'm looking at my shaved head when you see this one. It's troubling me. Yeah, I'm getting an anxiety attack as well. Went bald when I was like 20 years old. Still haven't come to terms with it. But yeah. Good luck, Dasai, and like write to me on Discord if you still can't get it to work, and we can see if we can get to the solution together. Okay, so oh yeah, I remember in my solution on GitHub I don't create the material because we create it in the renderer feature. In the altered one I use for this game right now, we actually create a separate material here, and we don't do it in the render feature. That's why I couldn't find it. Okay, but let's see. I've actually got a full head of hair, and you shave it by choice. Insane. It's almost like it should be a hate crime to do it. It don't matter that you're elderly. Like, if one have the options to have hair, one should have hair. But honestly, one sec. I get it. Like, having a shaved head is like, it comes with a lot of pros. Also, choose for fun? I think you chose it to spite bald people. So, what it all comes down to is how I want to represent my data. Aland, I might have missed it, let's see. Women do not have a help command, so it said command help not found. Oh, nice. Like help command, it feels like it should be one of the first things you implement, right? Okay, so this, what we have here, when we want to continue, it's basically a problem of how we want to represent the data. And right now I haven't really decided. I need to research a bit more. So we're gonna go with relying on this one, and I think we're gonna take a full channel to represent grass amount constant. So we're gonna take a full channel to represent this one now during development, and we're gonna use the RG, the green channel. So, and I want to do this by action terraform here. No. Terraform shader. What's up, Skafer? How are you doing today? Color mask. We want to set this one from script. So this one pretty much tells us which channel this shader is writing to in destination. Right now we write to red, because that's where our height data is. But we're gonna change this. But before we change it here, we're gonna do it in action terraform. And we're gonna add the option here to change the way we terraform stuff. So we have this marker from action terraform. We also have this text here that tells us that if we press E, we do terraform. We do it with a brush strength of 0.1, and we do it with brush 4. When we add grass or remove grass, we're still going to use the brush, and we're still going to use the brush strength. But I want to be able to switch between this one. So we're gonna do terraform brush, terraform data. Now I'm a little bit split if we should have. So we have action terraform under actions, and then we have environment things here. Maybe action interactions. I think I want to do okay. Did I misclick? Let's do actions, and we do folder action terraform. Skafer, by the way, working currently. Skull emoji. Good luck on work, man. And appreciate you dropping by. So now we have an action terraform folder. I want to put this one here, and I also want to introduce action terraform Terraform mode. And here we're gonna do in fact, do I want to call it height change? Actually, I also like to have a none here. I probably want to rename these to something better in the future, but grass change. And we want to do, so right now we have in input handler we listen on change brush strength. We do it in Terraform brush. Actually, yeah, I might have jumped the gun a little bit here. I think I want to rename this one action, no, Terraform brush mode. And let's exit. Okay, let's move it back. Now what we have, Terraform brush, Terraform. Can you toggle automatic recompilation? That would be nice. Terraform brush mode, this is what we're gonna do instead. Terraform brush mode. Nice, Ayland. We'll take a look after the stream. So height change, grass change. So in Terraform brush, we also want to add a brush settings. I wonder if we want to have it here. Private Terraform brush mode. Mode is equal to height change by default. We want to change this one. But what I want to implement here is, so when we change to brush strength, if brush strength is less than 0, then we set additive as false. And what we do in set additive is we set brush operation to either be blend up, add, or blend up, reverse, subtract, and then we set that in the shader. I think we also want to have a private void. Actually, so now the question is, do I want to send in the type of mode we want to change to, or do I want to do it in a similar fashion as, like, we want to step down or up? I think so. So this one. So change. I don't know about change. Oh, we want to do, it's like this, right? Return. Is this how we want to do it? How do we do? We need to do this. Oops. We can just do max then. And I think we want to do it like this. And we need to cast this to int. And then we need to cast this one to from brush mode. Can we do it like this? And do I have a instance constructors? Okay, Eland, I guess. I might look into it later after the stream. What am I misunderstanding here? Is it this one? So could we just go to... No, it's not. Oh yeah. Yes. So then we should be able to do change brush mode, and we do mode dot change sign, right? Should change this one. I hope. Feels like I'm looking for some word that includes both terraforming and grass change. Gardening, whatever. I still feel like you're recreating Unity terrain. Have you considered holes? Define holes.
Yeah.
Let's just name it to grass for now. Break the terrain at boundaries. Break the terrain boundaries so you can manually link in tunnel, etc. So right now the idea is not to feature any type of holes or caves. Although that would be pretty cool. Okay, so what I want to do here also is blend operation. So I wonder if we have Unity engine rendering. Mask, or is it color right mask? Well, let's do channel. One could think we could honestly let's do it by mode for now. Unity terrain system should speak of holes well enough today. The concept of terrain being only flattened from above just seems absurd, right? In some cases, yes. Paint holes. Okay, so the definition of Unity terrain holes is basically just a alpha clip texture. So it's just about discarding pixels when we render the terrain, i.e. when it comes to collision, it doesn't really. It depends on how you solve. I guess it clips because they use a height map collision. Yeah, okay, so they. Honestly, I haven't haven't even thought about holes. Like, the initial plan has been not to support it. I don't know in which way I would support it, like game play wise. Ayland, you hear about ChatGPT 4? I've heard about ChatGPT. Is it a new version? But holes, caves exist in real life, right? Yeah. But once again, like, this terrain we're making, it's going to represent a garden and nothing more. And so think about it like what one would do to their own garden in real life. I guess there exists a few people out there that actually builds caves in their gardens. But here it's more about removing dirt, not creating a whole hole, and adding dirt, creating a hill. What's up, Peach? Not 4, but 4.0. I've not heard about ChatGPT 4.0. Weird versioning naming. Like Buddha. I don't know. But yeah, holes. Yeah, not sure what they were doing with this naming. ChatGPT 4.0. O for Omni is a step towards much more natural human-computer interaction. I don't know. So yeah, the initial what is the English word again? The initial requirement specification for my garden terrain excludes holes, caves, and such things. If I wanted to support it, I would probably have gone with a like marching cube like terrain from the get-go, and not a height-based one. So yeah, Buddha is going to have to wait for the elite terrain system. Color right, mask dot. Don't we have none here? That's pretty weird. And like storing yeah, we'll see. Color channel. Oh yeah, we can. We might as well. Like this. Terraform brush, mode change, and then we also need to do brush material set. I think it's an int, and here we do mode dot color channel, or actually that is the second parameter. The first parameter should be brush operation, project constraint, brush color, yeah, right mask shader string. Equals to 0. And then I guess we want to do this. Aland, your terrain is basically a 2D height map. You need to make it 3D to support caves. Yes, indeed. And Vala, how's it going? It's going pretty good. How about you? How are you doing today? Okay, so now we change the color mask from the outside. And we want to add this one here. I thought, oops, sorry about that. Okay, but we can't try this just yet. So what I need to do is to add, okay, how do I want to do this? Input handler. Primary, secondary, tertiary, fourtiary. Is that actually what we want to go with? Quantiary. Okay. Elund, I did not know that. What kind of Discord bots have you developed? That's pretty cool, actually. Do I need to add positive negative binding? And then we want to do -1 1, and we do actually that's not correct. Positive, negative, game. Fuck it. Let's just try if we have the chain of events working. And then if I do this, scalar quaternary, is that how we pronounce it? Doubt it, but it works. Up 1 1 1 1. Dun, 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 dun. Great. Now we can start listening to this. So I want to go to input handler, action terraform. Like this. So every time we call that one, we call change brush mode, which depending on the sign, -1 if we click down, 1 if we click up, we call mode change, and this is just a way to handle it. We clamp it between 0 and 2, and we add sign to mode. Then we also set brush material here. I think we want to do change brush mode 1 here. So by default, we can go with this one as well. Okay, can I try this? No, we have a lot more things to do. But we could do so. Yeah, let's do one last test here. Yeah, let's jump back to the texture. Or the terrain procedural grass, and we change this one to terrain data texture. Terrain data texture. Oof. let's jump back. Went a little bit too quick there. Let's do terrain data texture. Actually, we need it way earlier than this. So later on we're gonna do some magic with this one way earlier, but for now we're only gonna use it in the fragment shader, and we're gonna use it like this. Bum 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 bum. Float4 would like to avoid reading this value more than twice. So the question is if yeah, we're gonna read it in the vertex shader eventually once, and then we're gonna take the data and pack it into a nice float4 we use throughout the shader pipeline. So we read it and store it in the vertex shader, send it onwards to the tessellation shader. In the tessellation shader we're gonna do tessellation based on values in this texture. Then we send it on to domain shader and eventually geometry shader. And in the geometry shader we're gonna generate grass, the visuals of the grass depending on data in this texture or the data in that float4 then. And finally in the fragment shader we're going to use it here to color the ground. So in this specific case it would be terrain data is equal to sample texture 2D sampler just like this. So then we have terrain data and grass amount constant. We're going to use terrain data dot g here instead of that one. So we remove it here and we remove it here. The most latest Discord bot I made is a bot called CodeRunner. It runs JavaScript code by command line. Oh yeah. I would have also gone crazy if I had a lizard close by. But like does the CodeRunner bot, does it allow for as big code blocks as possible, or like do you have any limits on the code blocks, or could I join the Discord and write one hell of a JavaScript, maybe like a never-ending JavaScript code? Like, could I screw it up for other users is what I'm getting at. Yeah, probably. Only I can run it. Okay. That is good. So the grass constant, instead of having it here as a float, we now use terrain data texture, the green channel, to represent it. So now we want to be able to set this one. And at first we're gonna do is this an old error? Oh yeah, we need UVs as well. That is true. And the UVs to this one is float2 input.position. We're gonna have to re-add UVs. Or when it comes down to it, like we want to have, the lesser the data, the better. So if we could manage to do it without object space position and UVs, that would be great. But if we want to do it solely based on object space position, then we need to send in the boundary values so we can recalculate object position to UV. So position object space, normal object space, tangent object space. Like, I'm not entirely sure how well yeah, maybe we should send in the boundary. Yeah, I think that's what eventually what we're gonna do, because the boundary is going to be the same for all of them. So we can have a material property here that has the boundary values. So we don't need more varying data here. But that is unfortunately gonna have to wait until tomorrow. Yeah, I don't want people putting a virus on my computer using my bot. Yeah, that was what I was thinking. So the adventure of continuing this is going to have to wait until tomorrow, because I gotta run, unfortunately. But still, great progress today. Learned quite a lot, actually. And let's see here. Yeah, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow, and have a great rest of the day. Peace.